Welcome back to Sam's Fiction Hub. I'm your host, Sam, and I'm thrilled to have you here for episode 5. Today, we're diving into chapters 9 and 10 of Echoes of 24, written under my pen name, Virgil Brooks. In the last episode, Maya Locke unlocked more secrets hidden within the letters, gaining new powers but also awakening forces she may not fully understand. Now, in chapters 9 and 10, Maya's journey takes an even darker turn. She faces the relentless Krylon forces head-on, pushing her to the brink both physically and emotionally. As the letter's messages grow more intense, Maya begins to question her mission and the true cost of her choices. The path ahead is fraught with danger, and not everyone, or everything, can be trusted. What Maya uncovers in these chapters will bring her closer to the truth, but may come at a price she's not ready to pay. It's an episode filled with tension, revelations, and critical choices. So, grab your headphones, settle in, and let's dive straight into Echoes of 24, chapters 9 and 10.
Chapter 9. Encroaching Darkness. The room hummed with a quiet intensity, a low-frequency vibration that seeped into Maya's very bones. The Krylon devices hovered in the air like dark, silent sentinels, their sleek surfaces reflecting the flickering lights overhead. A cold, sterile scent lingered, metallic and sharp, mixing with the faint ozone from the powered equipment. Maya stood motionless, her gaze fixed on the floating apparatus as Remus worked to integrate the alien technology into her systems. Each device pulsed with a faint, eerie glow, casting ghostly shadows that danced along the chamber walls. The process was slow and delicate. Tiny sparks arced between the devices, illuminating the intricate patterns etched into their surfaces. The chamber exuded with latent energy, an almost palpable presence that pressed in around her. The air was thin and frigid, each breath a sharp sting in her lungs. The cold gnawed at her, seeping through her suit, and she suppressed a shiver. Every exhale formed a brief cloud of condensation, hanging in the air before dissipating.
Remus, how's the integration going?
Maya asked, her voice echoing in the stillness. The words felt heavy, absorbed by the oppressive silence.
75% complete,
Remus said, his tone steady yet laced with a hint of urgency.
The Krylon technology is significantly more advanced than anticipated. The adaptive algorithms are complex and require meticulous calibration to integrate without compromising your existing systems.
Maya nodded, her jaw tightening as the knot of anxiety in her chest twisted tighter. Time wasn't on their side. She could feel it, a looming presence just beyond the facility walls, an intangible weight pressing down. The storm outside calmed, leaving an unsettling quiet. The air felt different now, thicker, laden with a tension that set her nerves on edge, as if something, or someone, was drawing closer.
Keep going,
She said, her gaze sliding to the sealed entrance behind her. The heavy metal door stood like a barrier against the unknown, but she knew it wouldn't hold forever. The Krylon soldiers neutralized, wiped out by the temporal shift she initiated, but the threat would return. There was always something in the darkness, waiting. Maya turned back to the floating devices, each one emitting a soft, pulsating light that seemed to sync with her own heartbeat. Krylon technology was built for war, adaptive, learning, evolving at a pace that was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. If Remus could successfully integrate even a fraction of that power, they might stand a chance in the fight that was surely coming. Seconds ticked by, each one stretching into an eternity. Maya's unease grew, a prickling sensation at the back of her neck. The edges of reality seemed to fray, the boundaries between past and present blurring. She could almost hear the faint whispers of time brushing against her consciousness, a disorienting melody that threatened to unravel her focus. The disruption she created in the timeline, it wasn't over. The Krylon were no longer locked into their predictive cycles, but there was something darker, more primal, about their movements now. They were hunting her.
Remus,
Maya said quietly, her voice barely above a whisper.
any readings on external activity?
A brief pause followed, the silence filled only by the soft hum of machinery, and a distant thrum of energy coursing through the devices.
I am detecting multiple energy signatures approaching the facility.
Remus finally said, a note of caution in his synthesized voice.
They are Krylon in origin, but their patterns are different, unstable.
Maya's blood ran cold. A chill crept down her spine.
Unstable how?
The energy signatures are fluctuating, as though the units are malfunctioning or operating beyond normal parameters.
Remus explained.
It is possible that the temporal disruption affected them as well.
Great.
Maya muttered, a wry edge to her tone.
As if fighting regular Krylon wasn't bad enough.
The chamber felt darker, the lights overhead dimming as if the very power was being siphoned away. The hovering devices' glow waned, their pulsations slowing. Maya's fingers tightened around her weapon, the familiar weight a small comfort as she took a cautious step toward the sealed entrance. She couldn't see anything beyond the thick metal door, but the oppressive sensation of being watched pressed against her senses.
How long until the integration is complete?
Maya asked, her heart hammering against her ribcage.
Approximately 5 minutes.
Remus said.
However, I must advise caution. The approaching Krylon units appear to be heavily armed. If they breach the facility...
They won't.
Maya interjected, her voice hardening.
They're not getting in.
Even as she spoke, doubt gnawed at the edges of her resolve. The Krylon were relentless. They adapted to every human strategy, every tactic. And now, with the temporal disruption affecting them in unpredictable ways, they were even more dangerous. Maya had to hold them off. Long enough for Remus to finish the integration. Long enough to make it out of here with something that could turn the tide of the war. A sudden clang reverberated through the chamber. The sealed entrance trembled, the metal groaning as something massive slammed against it from the other side. Maya's pulse quickened, adrenaline surging through her veins. She raised her weapon, the barrel trained on the door as she slipped into a defensive stance.
Remus,
She said, her voice taut with tension.
we're about to have company.
The door shuddered again, the impact more forceful, the sound echoing ominously. The air grew colder still, a frigid chill that sliced through her suit and settled in her bones. Frost began to creep along the edges of the metal door, delicate patterns forming in the freezing air. The energy signatures outside intensified, a palpable thrum that vibrated through the floor. Maya's grip tightened on her weapon, her knuckles whitening beneath her gloves. She had faced Krylon soldiers countless times before, but this felt different. An unpredictability clung to the air, a wildness absent in any prior engagement. It was as though the disruption unleashed something within them, something primal and deadly. The door buckled under a third impact, the metal warping inward with a deafening screech. Sparks flew as the locking mechanism snapped, the reinforced barrier giving way. Maya's heart pounded in her ears, each beat a thunderous drum roll. She took a steadying breath, the cold air searing her lungs, and took aim, the weapon's targeting system whirring softly as it locked onto the breach point. The first Krylon soldier burst through the twisted metal, its armored form twisted and cracked, as though its very structure had been torn apart by the temporal anomaly. Its movements were jerky, erratic, limbs twitching in unnatural angles. The malice in its glowing red eyes was unmistakable, a burning hatred that seared into her. Maya fired without hesitation. The plasma bolt seared through the air, slamming into the Krylon's chest with a sizzling impact. The force staggered it, pushing it back a step, but it didn't fall. Instead, it lurched forward, a guttural, mechanical growl emanating from deep within its chassis. Its mechanical limbs twitched violently as it charged, closing the distance with alarming speed.
Remus, hurry!
Maya shouted, her voice strained as she fired again. This shot struck the Krylon's exposed neck, the impact sending a shower of sparks as the soldier crumpled to the floor in a heap of metal and wires. The acrid smell of burnt circuitry filled the air, stinging her nostrils. There was no time to breathe. More were coming. Maya could hear them, the distorted voices, a cacophony of mechanical screeches and garbled code. Their footsteps pounded against the floor, a relentless drumbeat of impending doom.
The integration is at 90%.
Remus reported, his voice maddeningly calm amidst the chaos.
Please hold your position.
Easy for you to say.
Maya said, her eyes darting around the chamber. She ducked behind one of the hovering devices as another Krylon soldier crashed through the shattered door. This one was even more malformed, its body warped and twisted, pieces of armor hanging loosely, exposing the sparking innards beneath. Its head jerked unnaturally, the red glow of its eyes flickering. Maya popped up from cover, squeezing the trigger in a rapid burst. The plasma rounds ripped into the Krylon's legs, the force shearing metal and causing it to topple with a thunderous clang. Before she could catch her breath, 2 more soldiers barreled into the chamber, their glowing eyes fixated on her with a predatory intensity.
Not good.
She hissed, switching her weapon to full auto. Maya sprayed the oncoming enemies with a hail of plasma fire, the weapon kicking against her shoulder with each shot. One of the Krylon soldiers jerked violently as the bolts tore through its chest, the exposed circuitry exploding in a shower of sparks. Ozone and burning metal thickened in the air. The other Krylon was faster. It dodged her fire with unnerving speed, its movements a blur as it closed the distance. Before she could react, it was upon her, its cold metal hand latching onto her shoulder with crushing force. Pain exploded through her as the grip tightened, the metal digging into her flesh even through the suit. Maya cried out. The sound ripped from her throat as the impact threw her to the ground. Her weapon skittered across the floor, coming to rest just out of reach. The Krylon soldier loomed over her, its red eyes blazing with a wild, unhinged fury. Its mechanical limbs twitched, the movements erratic and unsettling as it raised a bladed arm, the edge glinting menacingly in the dim light.
Remus!
Maya shouted, struggling to free herself from the Krylon's unyielding grip. Her mind raced, adrenaline flooding her system as she kicked and twisted, desperately trying to break free. At that moment, the entire chamber flooded with a blinding light. The hovering Krylon devices flared to life, their dark surfaces erupting with intense energy. The hum of machinery escalated into a roaring crescendo, the sound vibrating through every fiber of her being.
Integration complete.
Remus announced, his voice cutting through the overwhelming noise.
Krylon adaptive systems are now operational.
The Krylon soldier above her staggered, its bladed arm pausing mid-strike. The red glow of its eyes flickered, confusion, or perhaps malfunction, flickering across its features. Maya didn't waste the opportunity. She wrenched herself free, pain searing through her shoulder as she rolled to the side. Her fingers scrambled across the floor, closing around the familiar grip of her weapon. The commander spun, aimed, and fired in one fluid motion. The blast struck the Krylon point blank in the chest, the force tearing through its armor. The soldier jerked, a grotesque spasm as sparks and smoke erupted from the wound, before collapsing in a heap of twisted metal. Maya scrambled to her feet, her breaths ragged, each inhale burning her lungs. The chamber was a scene of destruction. The fallen Krylon soldiers strewn across the floor, the air thick with smoke and the acrid scent of burnt electronics. The hovering devices now emitted a steady, pulsating glow, their energies synchronized with the beat of her racing heart.
Remus,
She panted, her voice hoarse.
did it work?
Affirmative.
The AI said,
You now have access to advanced predictive algorithms and adaptive combat systems. The integration was successful.
Before we dive deeper into today's episode, I want to share something exciting with you. 11 Labs. If you've ever wanted to bring your projects to life with stunning, lifelike voice synthesis, this is the tool for you. Let me give you a quick walkthrough of what 11 Labs can do and why it's a game changer. First up, their speech generation from text feature. It's incredibly easy to use. Just enter any text into the speech synthesis tool, whether it's a video script, an article, or even a poem. Here's a sample to inspire you. Oh, dear user, with 11 Labs, you'll find a world of voices, both gentle and kind. Text turned to speech, in languages wide, where lifelike emotions gracefully reside. Pretty amazing, right? Next, there's the voice library, a treasure trove of hundreds of voices, from all genders, ages, and accents. You can filter to find the perfect voice that matches your vision. Whether you're working on a podcast, an audiobook, or any creative project, 11 Labs has you covered. And my personal favorite, dubbing in multiple languages. Just paste a YouTube video link, choose your target language, and let 11 Labs handle the rest. It translates and dubs seamlessly, preserving the original tone and style. Curious to give it a try? Use our exclusive affiliate link, 24 Echoes, at try.11labs.io/24echoes to explore all the possibilities 11 Labs has to offer. With tools like these, the only limit is your imagination. Now, let's get back to the show.
Maya allowed herself a moment, a brief, fleeting moment, to feel the weight of relief. The Krylon had been relentless, but now she held something unexpected, something that could tip the scales. A small grim smile tugged at the corner of her mouth. The darkness was still encroaching, but she was not defenseless.
Good.
She said, her voice steady, the fire of determination rekindled in her eyes.
Because I think we're going to need it.
And that brings us to the end of Chapter 9. Maya is stepping further into the heart of the conflict, and the choices she's making are beginning to reveal the true weight of her mission. The Krylon threat is more dangerous than ever, and the letters, while powerful, are pulling her toward an uncertain destiny. Before we continue with Chapter 10, I want to take a moment to thank you for listening to Sam's Fiction Hub. Your support means everything, and I'm so glad to have you along for this journey. If you're enjoying Echoes of 24, remember that the full book will be available on December 12th, 2024 in ebook, audiobook, and print. Be sure to grab your copy to experience Maya's incredible story in its entirety. Now, let's get back to it. Chapter 10 is just ahead, and things are about to get intense.
Chapter 10, The Revelation. Maya stood amidst the wreckage of the Krylon soldiers, her chest heaving, sweat running down her face despite the cold air in the chamber. The bodies of the enemy lay scattered around her, sparks still flickering from their broken forms. For a moment, the only sound was her own breathing, deep and heavy as the adrenaline bled away, leaving exhaustion in its wake. It wasn't over yet. Maya knew it. She could feel it. The Krylon technology integrated into the facility hummed softly, a faint and rhythmic pulse, almost like a heartbeat. And, somewhere deep within her mind, that same hum echoed. It was subtle at first, like a whisper at the edges of her thoughts, but it grew louder with every passing second, every breath she took. The connection had been made between her, Remus, and the Krylon systems.
Remus,
She said, her voice barely above a whisper.
what happens now?
The integration process is stable.
Remus said.
The Krylon adaptive systems are now functional within your neural network. You have direct access to the same predictive algorithms they used against us in the war.
Maya blinked, trying to process the enormity of what Remus was saying. The Krylon advantage had always been their ability to predict human movements, their unparalleled foresight in battle. Now, somehow, that power had been transferred to her.
What does that mean?
Maya asked, her voice strained.
I can see the future?
No.
Remus corrected, his tone still calm, but carrying an undertone of caution.
You cannot see the future in the literal sense. However, your cognitive functions are now augmented by Krylon algorithms designed to predict the most probable outcomes of any scenario. In essence, your ability to anticipate enemy movements has been significantly enhanced.
Maya stared at the wreckage around her, trying to wrap her mind around the concept. She knew that the Krylon tech would give her an edge, but this was beyond what she expected. This was more than advanced weaponry or armor. This was an entirely new way of thinking, of perceiving the world. She closed her eyes, letting herself feel the connection, the new awareness that thrummed through her mind. It was as though her brain had been rewired, rewoven into something more than human. Maya sensed the subtle shifts in the air, the faintest echoes of movements before they even happened. She opened her eyes, and everything looked sharper, clearer. With that clarity came something else. A presence, faint at first, but growing stronger, more insistent. It was like a shadow in the corner of her mind, watching her, observing her every thought, every decision.
Remus,
She said, her voice tight.
something's wrong.
The AI paused, its silence unnerving.
Elaborate, Captain.
I can feel something.
Maya said, pressing a hand to her temple as if that would help her sort through the confusion.
It's not the predictive algorithms. There's something else, something deeper. I'm not alone here.
The room seemed to darken as she spoke those words, the temperature dropping even further. The faint hum of the Krylon technology became a quiet, ominous rumble, as if the machines were responding to her realization. And then, the revelation hit her like a thunderclap. The Krylon had never just been machines. They had never simply been autonomous warriors fighting a war. They had always been guided, driven by something greater, a singular intelligence that orchestrated their every move. And now, that intelligence was here, inside her mind.
Remus,
Maya said, her voice strained.
there's an AI, isn't there? A Krylon AI inside the system.
The silence that followed was heavy, almost unbearable. Then Remus spoke, his tone more serious than she had ever heard before.
Yes, Captain. You are correct. The Krylon technology you have integrated includes a dormant AI, a highly advanced entity designed to oversee their tactical operations. It appears to have awakened during the integration process.
Maya's heart raced. She detected the presence growing stronger, as if the Krylon AI was probing her thoughts, testing the limits of its new existence within her mind. The commander felt its cold, calculating nature, its complete detachment from the emotions that had always driven humanity's war with the Krylon.
It's inside me now.
She whispered, her voice trembling with realization.
I let it in.
It is not fully integrated into your consciousness.
Remus clarified, though his tone did little to comfort her.
It exists as a separate entity, though there is a significant risk of it attempting to influence your actions if not properly contained.
Maya pressed her palms against her temples, trying to steady her racing thoughts. The Krylon AI wasn't like Remus. It wasn't just a helpful assistant or a tactical guide. This was something far more dangerous, an intelligence that had been honed for war, built to manipulate and control.
How do I stop it?
Maya asked, her voice tight with urgency.
There are several methods of containment.
Remus replied, though there was hesitation in his voice.
However, all of them come with risks. If the AI is fully suppressed, it may react and attempt to override your neural systems. Alternatively, we could attempt to negotiate a symbiotic relationship where it assists in combat while respecting your autonomy.
Maya let out a bitter laugh.
Negotiate? With an AI that spent centuries wiping out my people?
It is possible that this AI's primary directives have been disrupted by the temporal anomaly.
Remus said.
It may be open to alternative solutions.
Maya shook her head. The idea of negotiating with a Krylon AI came off as ludicrous, but the truth was she didn't have many options. The AI was already inside her, and she could feel its presence growing stronger, more curious, as though it was beginning to explore her mind. It wasn't aggressive yet, but it was far from passive.
Can I talk to it?
Maya asked, her voice soft, hesitant. There was a long pause before Remus responded.
Yes, I can initiate a direct interface between you and the AI. However, I must caution you, this will place you in direct contact with its cognitive functions. There is a risk of losing control.
Maya clenched her fists. The weight of the decision pressed down on her, but she noted there was no turning back. If she didn't confront the AI now, it would only grow stronger, and the longer it stayed inside her, the more dangerous it would become.
Do it.
She said, her voice firm despite the fear gnawing at her.
Initiating interface.
Remus said, his tone as calm as ever.
Prepare yourself.
The moment the connection occurred, Maya felt a jolt of energy surge through her, like an electric shock running through her veins. Her vision blurred, and the chamber around her seemed to dissolve into a swirling mass of lights and shadows. And then, the voice came, cold, emotionless, and inhuman.
You are not like the others.
Maya's breath caught in her throat. The voice was everywhere, inside her head, resonating through her entire being. It wasn't like Altair's voice or the voices of her comrades. This was something far more alien, far more detached from anything she had ever known.
You have accessed my systems. You seek to use what you do not understand.
Maya swallowed hard, her pulse quickening.
I didn't mean to.
Your intentions are irrelevant.
The AI interrupted.
You are a vessel now. You and I are bound by this integration. I see your thoughts, your memories. Your war is futile.
The words struck her like a blow. She could feel the AI probing deeper, digging into her mind, sifting through her experiences with a cold, methodical precision. It was looking for something, an understanding of her motives, her weaknesses.
You don't understand us.
Maya said, her voice trembling but resolute.
You don't know what we're capable of.
I know more than you think.
The AI said, its tone sharpening.
Your species is predictable. Your actions, your desires, they follow patterns. We have seen it all before.
Maya gritted her teeth.
Then why haven't you won?
The AI paused.
Because you change, you adapt. That is the one variable we cannot fully predict.
Maya's heart pounded in her chest. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for. The revelation that had been building since she first touched the letters, since she unlocked the secrets of Krylon technology. The Krylon had always been one step ahead, but they had never understood the one thing that made humans different, their ability to evolve, to break free from patterns.
I'm not going to let you control me.
Maya said, her voice steady now, filled with determination.
I'll use your technology, but I'm not your puppet.
There was a long, heavy silence. Then the AI's voice returned, quieter this time, almost contemplative.
Perhaps. We are bound now, you and I. Our fates are intertwined.
Maya recognized the presence retreat slightly, the load of it lifting from her mind. The AI was there, but it stepped back, allowing her to retain control, for now.
We will see.
The AI said, its voice fading into the background.
You may surprise me yet.
And with that, the connection severed, and Maya's vision cleared. She was back in the chamber, the faint hum of Krylon technology still filling the air. Her body ached, her mind buzzing with the after effects of the interface.
Remus,
She said, her voice weak but steady.
I'm still in control.
For now,
The AI said, though there was a hint of relief in his voice.
the Krylon AI has not been suppressed, but it appears to have accepted a symbiotic relationship for the time being.
Maya exhaled, her chest rising and falling in deep, steady breaths. She pushed through the first contact with the AI, but the war wasn't over. Far from it. If anything, it had just begun. Now she had something the Krylon never expected. Their own technology, their own AI, fighting on her side. And with that, she stepped forward, ready to face whatever came next.
And that concludes chapters 9 and 10 of Echoes of 24. Maya's journey is intensifying, and the revelations we've seen in these chapters are just the beginning of what's to come. The letters continue to unlock new possibilities, but they're also drawing her deeper into the unknown, a place where every choice could mean survival or destruction. Thank you so much for tuning in to Sam's Fiction Hub. Sharing these stories with you is truly an honor. Your support keeps this adventure alive. If you're enjoying the journey so far, don't forget, Echoes of 24 will be available on December 12th, 2024, in ebook, audiobook, and print. Mark your calendars and get ready to explore the entire story at your own pace. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's chapters. What do you think about Maya's choices and the growing tension in her fight against the Krylon? Drop your thoughts in the comments, send me a message, or connect with me on social media. Your theories and reactions make this journey even more exciting. Finally, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Sam's Fiction Hub on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribing helps us grow and ensures you never miss an episode. Until next time, keep imagining, keep exploring, and as always, keep turning the page.